I'm pretty tired. Just got back. Had a late night. Definitely one of the best tournament experiences I've ever been to. Not as a player because I drowned. I sucked. I lost to Luigi Kid and Azusa, so you can call me the ultimate buster. So for everybody that thought I was going to 100-0 Genesis 3 win, I apologize. I appreciate the support. But there's so much to talk about. One of the best tournaments I've ever been to. If you guys watched Top 8, you guys already know. If you guys were at the venue that was filled to capacity with over 3,000 people, you guys messed up. Where do I even begin? I think it was just so cool. We'll talk about what everybody's been thinking about, and that's Mango. And Mango, having a less than stellar 2015, I believe we all thought that, after day 2, after he loses to Axe, had probably no chance of making it to grand finals at Genesis, let alone win it. My compadres on the analyst desk, Crimson Blur and Cactar, both thought that Mango was going to get 6th place, losing to PPMD. I fortunately made the Tafo clutch the Tafo clutch prediction that he was going to make it to grand finals. Had an amazing run. Won his first 10 games against Nintendo, against PPMD, and I believe Axe. And then finally lost his first game against Hungrybox in game 2. His box looked phenomenal. It looked clean. It looked confident. And in his post-game interview, he said that he was struggling to find an identity for his playstyle. He was conflicted between what he's been used to over the years, and wondering if he needs to kind of refine his gameplay to mirror what Left and Armada have been doing. And I think in that kind of transition, experimenting of the latter half of 2015, he's struggled to find himself. And we saw that when we see a peak performance Mango, that he's able to play aggressive. He's able to mix up his opponents and gain control. And that's what explains his loser's bracket run. Managed to clutch it out, in a close Game 5 set against Hungrybox. Granted, Hungrybox did throw a game in Game 1 on Battlefield, and a lot of people, maybe it's the nerves, maybe it's the grand audience, maybe it was Mango's pressure that caused these uncharacteristic SDs from Axe, Hungrybox, and Armada in those sets. Mango, to everyone's surprise, demolished Armada in the first 2 games of Fox Dittos. And that brings up an interesting dilemma here in terms of counterpick. We've said that Armada can win the Fox versus Fox and the Peach versus Falco, and Armada and Mango wins the Fox Peach and the Falco Fox. But we saw kind of a reversal of trends at Genesis 3, where Mango did win the Fox Dittos, but Armada came up on top in the Peach Fox matchup. So that's very interesting. We're all very happy. I think he blew up the audience. He's a literal rock star, and everybody just gets excited to watch him play. Twitch peaked at 115K overall to watch him play. Highly doubt that would have been the number if Mango lost early, or if we saw Hungrybox versus Armada. So Mango winning, as much as I respect all the top players, is good for the game. It shows that you don't always have to play one specific style. You can play read heavy, and as long as you're smart about it, and you don't go too crazy, that it still works. That it's not going to be that Melee is not going to be relegated to this classical music style or this 20GX or 28XX type of thing where you have to only do certain things at certain times. Mango brings hope to that kind of style. Armada, what can we say? This guy is a consistency monster. Ever since EVO 2015 this year, he has won every tournament he has ever attended except for Dreamhack. So he's won every other event, and this kind of reminds me of Armada's reign from one of the, I believe, Apex 2013 or 2012 to... okay, I'm mixing up the dates, the tournaments here. I apologize. From Genesis 2 to Apex 2013, Armada won pretty much everything, and we may be seeing another dominant reign from Armada. Another Grand Finals appearance. He did drop a set this time, and unlike last time on Genesis 2 where Armada won in one set, this was a lot closer. Mango did bring it back. But now Armada has 2 Genesis, 1 Evo, 2 Apexes, a big house, 2 Dreamhacks. And so when we talk about the question of who has the greatest legacy now, we look at, in my book, Armada, Mango, Ken, depending on how you weigh things, are easily the top 3. They clearly stand out in their careers, have dominating reigns for years. Armada now, he may actually have the best legacy. When you look at all the accomplishments of everybody that has played the game, you look at the victories, you look at the wins, you look at the dominance of Armada. Armada may have the best resume out of everybody in Melee history. What else can we say about Armada? Rarely drops games to non-Big 6 members, only dropped 1 to S2J. And when you look at his bracket path, it was very clean. 3-1 PPMD. He 3-1 Hungrybox, lost to Mango, and then 3-1 in the Grand Final Set 2. So he had to go through arguably, the best players of the tournament. Went through 3 gods, played 4 sets, won 3 of them. And so it wasn't a fluky bracket where he got a free path that, as many would claim, for his EVO win earlier last year. He had to go through, the gauntlet, and he won. So congrats to Armada. Clearly the guy that everybody will need to beat. The front runner of 2016, wins the biggest event of the year, second biggest tournament of all time. So now Armada has his name on as champion of the largest Melee singles event of all time and the second largest in EVO 2015 and Apex 2015. We look at everybody else. Hungrybox still really strong. I don't think he's going to be talked about enough. He was overshadowed by the Armada Mango narrative and Genesis. But Hungrybox, as well as Mango was playing, Hungrybox's gameplay, almost defeated Mango. And we could have had a completely different story had it not been for that Battlefield loss. So, and the funny thing about Hungrybox and Mango is that you look at the set counts. Mango's, clearly far ahead in the set counts, but those sets, even last year, I believe at EVO, they've always had close Game 5 sets. So sometimes the set count's a little deceiving. Hungrybox definitely always gives Mango kind of a nail-biter set. And so props to him for third. Also on the upper end of being super consistent. Almost as consistent as Armada in terms of his dominating performances over the non-Big 6. So I expect to continue to see big things out of him. PPMD, starting to see some troubling trends with him overall. Once again, loses pretty harshly to Armada and Mango. And I think that makes a 5-set losing streak to Big 6 members, if you date back to EVO 2015, gets 3-0'd by Armada, 3-0'd by Hungrybox, and then loses to Armada at Smash Summit, loses to Armada again here, loses to Mango here. These are kind of troubling trends if you're aiming to see PPMD place, number 1, where he was last year at Apex. Probably not going to happen for a while. I think that the other Big 6, or at least the top 4 of the SSBM rank, are a lot stronger than him. The relieving fact is that PPMD can still scrape it. He has this magical clutch factor against everyone else below top 8. Had a close set with Westballs this year. Beat SFAT convincingly again. Beat Lucky in a close 5-game set. So he's not a bad player, but I think he is a step behind the top 4 for now. Maybe he's Mewtwo King's level. I'm not quite sure, but that's where I put PP. And then before I move on to other players that have some impressions of, I think that the auditorium that we had for the event was just phenomenal. The energy was totally there. The ground was shaking, and I hope that for top 8 that we see this again. It definitely had this rock star presence, and I really commend Genesis 3, despite the criticisms that they've gone for their decision making, their compendium. They are very intentional in how they style things, how they want to brand themselves, and what they want to present. So they have a particular flair to their own tournaments and what they want, and I commend them for being deliberate and preserving that brand. And then we go to, speaking of audience, I think the main issue, or the quote-unquote controversy of Day 2, was Nintendo defeating Mutaking in a very laborious set where Mutaking ends up going last minute to, for some reason, gets wobbled, loses the game, and then goes on a massive tirade against wobbling and audience pressure. To that, I say, tough love, Mutaking. You lost as Peach against Ice Climbers, one of the most broken matchups in Melee. If you are a top level Peach, you should never be losing to Ice Climbers. That is inexcusable, regardless of whether or not you go down. You have a broken matchup. That should never happen, and that's my take on it. I don't think Ice Climbers are broken. We see the flip side of Ice Climbers, where Mango just straight up dismantles Nintendo 3-0 and made Ice Climbers look like a really sad character that can't do anything. Every time it seemed like Nintendo had to guess where Mango was going. So I commend Nintendo, and it's kind of interesting to see how much player perception plays into a role. So we have Chudat, wobbling people, wobbling Mango, and because of Chudat's charisma, people like that. But when it's Nintendo, people get upset. Wish there was some consistency, but I understand, people want their favorite player to get in, and it kind of sucks for them to lose to a quote-unquote kind of not fun to watch technique. Some interesting things that I would like to point out in terms of the non-top 8. A lot of old school players did really well for themselves in this tournament. So we had players like G Money, Silent Spectre, make it into bracket. People that weren't Kamaster made it pretty far. Who else is there? Some other breakout performances that I really saw. Connor the Kid made it to 17th. Arc made it to 25th. So there's a bunch of players, that didn't place very well on SSBM rank who, stood out, won the matches, caused a few upsets. So when we look at, everyone from 30 to 80, I think it's really close, and we're going to see, a lot of these quote-unquote upsets, which when you really think about it, they aren't, because the player skill level, is just so close. It could depend on just peak performance, or just having a bad day, or just not knowing a certain matchup. So I expect it to happen more often. I think when we go to PAX in a couple weeks and we go to Pound, we're going to see these people in the 120 to 80 range, make some noise, start off really strong in their momentum, cause a few upsets. And the big question for them is that, can they repeat that performance, and can they maintain that high of a level? Because it's not just a matter of performing well at one tournament, it's a matter of performing well at multiple tournaments, being able to perform at that level consistently. And if they do, then they will see, their numbers rise on the next year's rank. So overall, I commend, everyone. I really love the event, and a little tired, but I think if you haven't watched Genesis 3, you should definitely watch it. Probably one of the best top 8s, and one of the best events I've ever been a part of.